Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And today we're featuring a parent perspectives story. So joining me is Megan Garcia, and she is the mother of Nolan, who's 8 years old, and he is a student at Shepherd of the Hills Lutheran School. And Megan's guest post that she wrote for our site is the top post today at sachartermoms.com, and we shared it on our social media at sachartermoms. So I encourage you to read her story, and she gives a great window into what it's like as a family at Shepherd of the Hills. But I'm really excited to get to talk to her, hear it in through a conversation, because I think that's just a great way to share and get families thinking about like what schools might be the best fit for their children, and that's our goal. So Megan, welcome to Charter Moms Chats.
Thank you so much for having me today, Inga.
Yeah, and shout out to Lauren at Shepherd of the Hills for helping us connect this. Okay, well, Megan, can you talk to us a little bit about your family and what are some of your son's favorite activities?
Yeah, absolutely. So my husband Gilbert and I, we have our son Nolan, who's 8, and he is involved in as many activities as an 8-year-old can be involved in. He is on swim team, and at Shepherd of the Hills, he participates in every sport available. So this year he's done soccer. We're currently in basketball. We are looking forward to baseball coming up, and then he's also in some enrichment clubs. So he's in Lego Club, which is a really great opportunity to, number one, play with Legos, everybody's favorite. But they do a really great job of tying in lessons and really getting that critical thinking factor in. And then he's also in STEM Club at Shepherd of the Hills, and he's a second grader. So lots of fun and activities going.
I agree. That is a lot of activities. So one of the things I appreciated about your post is that you quoted the mission of Shepherd of the Hills, and you talked about like what that meant to you and your family, and like how they really fulfill that mission, like in how they treat the children, how they include families. So can you talk about the mission at Shepherd of the Hills and like how you're seeing it come to life?
Right. So the mission at Shepherd of the Hills, it's really for parents, staff, and the families to create that nurturing environment. And we have seen it from day one. So we started when Nolan was 1 years old at Shepherd, kind of leading up into turning 2. And the growth we have seen in him just each year, it amazes me. It really, Shepherd of the Hills really creates a family environment. So this weekend I was talking to another mom. I have one son, but with all the friends we've gained, it's turned into family. So I feel like I have 23 second graders. But they really are focused in on catering to the child's needs, right? That not everybody learns the same, and they recognize that, which has been beneficial to us in his learning journey. So it's been a great thing. Not only has he grown his education there, but he's also grown his faith in the Lord. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's one of the things you mentioned in your post is that right, so that Shepherd Hills is a partner, and like when you want a child to make a choice like that, you want it to be led from within, right? It's like it's not a parent imposing something on a child. It's like, so can you talk more about that process? Like that's something that's unique to private
yeah,
schools, right? Like so we cover charter schools and traditional public schools, and they can't participate in faith formation the way a private
right.
school like Shepherd of the Hills can.
Yeah, so it's been amazing. So each week, the children, they have chapel, and it's on Wednesday mornings, and families are allowed to come and participate. And so I make it a point to attend at least one service a month with him, just due to I'm a parent, I have a job. Um, Within that, they learn religion classes, but this year they had something unique where for second graders, they got to attend a Bible study class. And within that class, they got their own Bible, and they got to learn about how to read the Bible, how to navigate through the Bible. And as we led towards the end of that class, we were at a Bible study at the pastor's house, and he took it upon himself. Nobody knew he was doing this. He went up and said, "Hey, Pastor Chris, I want to get baptized." And so Pastor Chris came to tell me, and of course, I'm immediately crying because it was his decision. It was nothing that was forced upon him. We had been talking about it, but for him to make, it was one of those, we decided we want him to make this decision. And so the beautiful thing was at the end of that Bible study class that the second graders went through, at that service was the service he was baptized. And so the pastor invited all the kids at the service that day to come up and sit in the front row and watched one of their fellow classmates be baptized. And then just this past last week, they have once a year, they open up baptisms to anybody in the school. And there were several students that were baptized last week. And a lot of them were from his class. So it was just a beautiful moment and decisions that a lot of the kids come to on their own because they're learning about Jesus and they get to grow their own faith. So
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's making me cry too. No, but like, because well, I mean, well, like like across faith traditions, right? Like what we're trying to do is shape, give our children this foundation so that they're making good choices independently, right? Because like we're trying to put ourselves out of a job, right? As
yeah.
parents, and it's hard. Like I have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old, and so I feel like I have less and less influence about like I realize I'm just sort of making little course corrections now. Like a lot of the work happened earlier, and like as parents, like we really need allies. Like we need a school that's on the same page, and it's
Right.
like leading our children to be the kind of people that we hope that they will become. So
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
yeah.
he was at swim lesson a couple weeks ago and he was telling his swim instructor about Jesus turning water into wine. And so I was like, oh, that was the Bible lesson this week. She was like,
Very appropriate for
wow.
swimming.
Yeah. The giant water.
Yeah. Well, one thing you mentioned that actually when Nolan started, like he started at the childcare center, right, and then stayed into the grade school program. So I was wondering if you
Right.
could talk more about like what was your experience like at the childcare center? Like people may not realize that Shepherd Hills is like it's not just like pre-K through eighth grade, but it also serves very young children as well. And you said you wrote that how it was a very natural transition to go from the childcare center to the grade school.
Yeah, absolutely. We came to know Shepherd of the Hills due to some friends at our previous daycare when they were younger. We had a couple of families that were moving over to Shepherd of the Hills, and we jumped on the bandwagon. I went and met with the childcare director at that time and instantly fell in love. Like, came home and told my husband, we're moving him, but we can't. At that time, I had to wait till August, and I think this was at the beginning of the summer. I said, but we can't move him till August. That's when they can take him. And we immediately signed up. Um, I asked a lot of questions. All my questions were answered, and it just felt like it was going to be the right place for us. So as we came in, Nolan was a very shy little boy, um, which as a mom could sometimes be heartbreaking when you're dropping him off. But he has quickly blossomed into a very outgoing, wide open personality, which we didn't see there. And a lot of that I have to attribute to the teachers he had with inside the child care. And they weren't pushy. They didn't push him to play with other kids. They allowed it to grow organically. And so when it came time to think about grade school, we have an elementary school in our backyard. I just have to cut a hole through the fence and we step into the parking lot. So it, it wasn't going to be the right move for us. He has just done so well at Shepherd, and we love everything about the transitions that we've seen from year to year. As I mentioned, we've seen him grow, and so it was an easy decision to keep him there for grade school.
Yeah. Well, when I've talked to folks who are, leaders or teachers like in early childhood, like, it's not so much a matter of like starting kids early on academics. Like that's not necessarily what it's for. It's really like what you said. It's like, helping students to open up and helping them to form relationships with their fellow students, because that's what lays the foundation for, forming their personalities and doing like kind of like, working on a team or like being a leader, like, that's what's going to really open up all those possibilities for their future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for talking more about the early childhood programs. I want people to know about like the whole range. Oh, so like one of the things I really enjoyed reading about in your post was like all the different ways that how the teachers at Shepherd Hills make learning fun, and you give all these great examples of like activities that they get to do. It just I felt like a fly on the wall. Like I could just see like like happy kids doing all these things. So, but like, can you share some of those stories? Like, what are the things that the teachers do at Shepherd Hills to make things so fun for the kids?
Yeah, a lot of the things. So something that sticks out early on is I remember talking to his pre-K teacher, Miss Eichstead, and she said, I gear their activities to be age appropriate. She goes, and I know that they lose attention span at age 5. Their attention's about 5 minutes per activity. So she was starting there, constantly rotating through centers to keep them engaged. As he's kind of grown through each year, they've done fun things like watching a butterfly grow. And when they're learning about the life cycle of a butterfly, the teacher's bringing in caterpillars that make their little cocoons and turn into butterflies, and they got to go and release them. They've hatched little chicks in the classroom. They have done book reports, which as a young child, I did not like book reports. But the excitement he sees when he brings home that new book report assignment, because they make them fun. They've made the next one they have coming up, they have to do a poster that they're going to cut their head out so they turn into the character of their book. And that's just some of the fun things that they've done around learning. The activities they do to keep them engaged. You can celebrate the 100th day of school, but they do a lot of fun assignments around getting to the 100th day of school that involve counting and reciting the days of the week and the months and talk about the different holidays. So I think my favorite so far is they do a wax museum every year for 1st and 2nd grade, where they pick a character and they become that character. So it's a fun research assignment for them. And then on top of that, it helps them improve their talking skills in front, because they give these presentations to everybody. Parents are welcome to come in. The school does a great job of allowing all the classrooms to come around and allow them to present their characters. So Nolan chose Walt Disney when he did his last year, and he absolutely loved it. And I remember there was one of the girls in the older grade, she was probably a 7th or 8th grade. She probably came around to him 3 times, but she just loved Disney. And so she just loved his little presentation as he was Walt Disney. And it makes me laugh to this day, because he's like, did I make that movie? Like, Walt Disney did. So by association, yes.
So. I'm really impressed at the creativity of the teachers. Like, it really speaks to like their dedication. Like, teaching that's a hard job. It's not like just a few hours a day. It's like a all day job. And
oh yes,
that they can keep bringing that energy and that creativity to it is really remarkable.
Yeah, COVID made me respect teachers so much more.
That is so true. Yeah, that's a tough job. Like, we really need them. Yeah. One thing you mentioned, like, while we're talking about teachers, like in the post, you mentioned that there's good communication between the teachers and the parents, and that you feel included in the communications from the school. So I was wondering if you could share about, like, how do you feel included, and how you feel like you're well informed about Nolan's progress?
Right, absolutely. So I think number one, there is complete that open door policy, if you will. The lines of communication are great. I have over the years been able to easily walk up and catch a teacher in the morning for a quick 2-minute conversation. Email, of course, is a great avenue. We have parent-teacher conferences that are scheduled, but I have also had the opportunity with teachers just to ask for an additional parent-teacher conference if needed. The school uses a lot of great apps and technology that allow us to remain in constant awareness of grades, and easy for teachers to send messages back and forth. And so it almost feels like you're just sitting in the classroom all day with the ease of communication. And all the teachers have always been very responsive. I've worked with Nolan. Nolan had some challenges with some learning disabilities, and we've had to work with speech therapists. And with each teacher we've had, they've been very open to communicating, not only with me, but even with his speech therapist when we had them, to ensure that he was getting the best learning atmosphere as possible.
Yeah. No, that's so important. It's really a partnership between the school and the parent. And whenever I hear, that teachers are responsive, I feel like that's a really good sign about, what the school culture is like, and, what kind of values the leadership is transmitting to the teachers about how you treat students and how you treat parents.
Yeah, and I would say the great thing, as a parent of Shepherd, you get to very quickly know all the staff. I mean, the 8th grade teacher knows my son, and even just the faculty alone, whenever there's questions or comments, they're very responsive as well. So it's not even just with his teacher that I've got great communication. it's with other members of the staff there at Shepherd of the Hills.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Well, so another thing that you talk about, you give examples in the post is about all the traditions and festivals and like, so there's certain events that happen every year at a certain time of year. So I was wondering if you could share about some of those, because it sounds like there are just like so many great traditions, and that it builds this like sense of community, sense of camaraderie in the school community.
Yeah. So if we think of like starting off the school year, so right before school starts, the weekend before, there is a back to school chapel service where they come in, basically a blessing of the backpacks. And then we get to go in and meet the teacher and drop our school stuff off. So you kind of get all that first day anxiety out early. Makes for a nice, easy transition, come drop off. And then they've met that teacher, they've met them with mom and dad. So it kind of takes away that nervous factor. As we come in on the first day of school, there's always a giant welcome sign, pictures being taken. So it just makes it a very welcoming atmosphere on the first day of school. And then we get into first Friday of every month is pep rally day. My son Nolan loves the pep rallies, especially the mascot, the ram. And if you get a high five, it's like golden day. And so they do First Friday concession stands, which the kids are really get excited about. And it's kind of a great thing because then they get to learn how to manage their money. There is what we call Ram Fest, and it's a great festival that's put on every year. Helps to raise money for the school, but it's a great fun family event. There's been movies on the ball field. If too cold on the ball field, they get moved into the chapel. And so families really, it's just we get to come together outside of school events. At Christmas, they do a jingle jog, and so everybody dons on their jingle bells. And this year they had an obstacle course set up. I already mentioned Wednesday morning chapels, right? And so this year they've incorporated coffee for the parents. We get to drink a little coffee while we wait for chapel to start. This morning was a special day after Valentine's Day. We had cupcakes in the church foyer before chapel. So lots of great things. I'm trying to think, there's just so many things. Those are the big ones. I talked about the wax museum, which is just a fun event every year. So
And one thing, and when the last time I was doing a site visit, and Lauren showed us like, well, we couldn't go into the new gym yet, but there's a bunch of new facilities. Have y'all been able to use
yes,
those for events yet? Like those like just
no,
opened, right? Oh,
not
okay,
yet. It's
not
coming
yet. Okay,
soon. They were pouring some final concrete last week. So
okay.
my husband cracks me up because he's like, do you think we'll be able to play a basketball game in the new gym this year? Well, not this year, but all families are excited. We've seen it, from the moment they tore up the concrete uh, as they're pouring the final bits of concrete. So we're super excited to use the new building and have events in there. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, no, the pictures I've seen look gorgeous. Like, I mean, it's a real point of pride to have a facility like that,
Yeah,
like the school's been around for decades, right?
it
And
has been. Yeah, longer than I could even say. I'd be misquoting, but
right,
it's been
right.
there
I
for a
know
long
Lauren told me
time.
that.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
but there's like multiple generations of families that have
yes,
had kids. Yeah,
yes. We've had multiple teachers that went to school there, and have been there from the very beginning. So it's great to see that and to see kind of legacy parents coming in. So
yeah, yeah. Well, that's a great like overview, like highlights of the traditions, and like these sound really special. Like how it, and like you said that you feel like you have not just your own Nolan, but also like a whole bunch of like kind of nieces
yeah,
and nephews, right? A whole class.
right.
So it feels like a big family. So well, one thing I wanted to ask about, like, and I like how you include this towards the bottom of the post is like, I mean, you went through kind of a school search process, like, word of mouth, and, like, experiencing the childcare and just choosing to stay for the grade school. But, you mentioned like that moment of, visiting for the childcare and just feeling like, yes, I'm in the right place. But you've got some advice for families who are like, a lot of our audience is families who are doing a school search and they're trying to you know, learn about different schools, but also just understand the process. Like, so what advice do you have for families doing a school search?
Yeah. So I would say do your research. I mean, we found Shepherd because of friends, but Shepherd wasn't the only school I looked at. I looked at other schools. we were looking something that was more convenient on the drive to and from work. Our first place was a little out of our way, and found some friends. Oh, we're going to sign our kids up here at Shepherd. They didn't know anybody there. They came across the school just due to location. And when I came for a visit, I had questions in mind. Every mama, we have that mama bear mentality, and I asked hard questions, and probably questions that may have been a little uncomfortable to answer, and probably thought, where is she coming with from these questions? But I wanted to make sure that when I dropped my son off, that I felt he was in a safe place. And so I encourage any parent, ask the hard questions. If you know people that are going there, ask them. They'll tell you the truth. They'll tell you about their experiences. And if you don't, ask if they have a team of parents that you can talk to. Sometimes it helps. You may be new to the area, so you don't know anybody, but a lot of times if you ask, do you have any parents that I can talk to? There's a lot of parents, especially at Shepherd, that'd be willing to talk to a prospective parent. Go walk the facility. When I went, I was taken around to the classrooms. I got to see the classrooms he was in. I was introduced to the teachers that would be his teacher. And, it would always say you have to fight for your children. And so picking their childcare is a way that you're going to fight for your child to find the right place. And again, Shepherd, there was no question. It stopped my search the moment I walked out of that building that day.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good feeling. Like when, you feel like your child is safe and they're going to be with the right people. And it sounds like the longer you've been there, the more connections you've built with, teachers across multiple grade levels. And, you talked about like, your son going up to the pastor and asking about baptism and that you've built a whole support network around your family through the school.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's even with seeing teachers, like when he was out sick, I heard Nolan was out, not even his teacher. I heard he was out sick. How's he feeling? And so it's a wonderful school, but it really it just extends your family as well.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I want to encourage anybody maybe who joined late, like, go to shturnermoms.com, and that's where you can find the guest post that Megan wrote. But I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you, and you can, tell these stories, live. And I also want to make sure that we, point people in the right direction so that hopefully they're curious and maybe they want to go visit Shepherd of the Hills for themselves. So, what advice do you have for them to be getting in touch with the school? And I've got my banners ready. So.
Yeah. So reach out to the school. If you reach out to Lauren Foskey, she's a great resource. You can go online at shlutheran.com as well. Lots of great things on there just to see parent resources. But reach out to Lauren. I see her all the time giving tours. She was not the one that gave me my tour, but she was a parent. She was a parent and faculty there when I did my tour several years ago. And so come on in. She's got lots of great parents she can refer you to. You can ask to speak to me. But lots of great, just a giant family that you can reach out to. And we're going to tell you how wonderful Shepherd of the Hills is.
Yeah. So on the website, so it's shlutheran.com. The phone number is 210-614-3741. And there's an admissions at shlutheran.org. But yeah, like Megan said, Lauren Paskey is a great person to connect with. She loves telling about Shepherd of the Hills Lutheran, and she's been a great partner for us in telling these stories. So I'm really glad to connect with you, Megan, because we want to tell parents stories and why do we need school choice? Why do we need so many different school options in San Antonio? And it's because it's such a great thing when a family like yours finds the school. You found the school for Nolan that was the right fit for him. And
Right.
Sometimes for folks it's their neighborhood public school, but sometimes it's not. And you just need information about the whole range of options and how to visit these different schools and then get that feeling of like, yes, this is the right place.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very blessed to have that opportunity and that choice. So
yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Charter Moms Chats, and I hope Nolan's feeling better, and I hope he has lots of fun doing basketball and baseball and Lego and STEM club and all those things. Lots of activities.
Thank you so much. It was great to talk to you today.
Great. Thank you, Megan.
Bye.
Okay, bye.